Hello and warm regards from NEXT IAS team. Welcome to another episode of Daily News Analysis. Today is 1st September and let's see the topics that we are going to discuss today. The first topic is Adi Vaani. Second topic is Magsaysay Award. Third topic is creation of the states. Fourth one is fertilizer shortage. And lastly, we are going to discuss in the editorial the giving wings to Indian youth. So let's start with the first topic, that is Adi Vaani. The first topic is Adi Vaani. Adi Vaani is basically an app that has been developed by the Ministry of Tribal Affairs and its beta version has been launched. Now this Adi Vaani is actually leveraging the AI technology and it will result in translation of the tribal languages into Hindi, English and vice versa. Now where it is relevant? It is relevant from the GS paper 1 art and culture, that is conservation of the language literature. Then we have GS paper 3 also in the science and technology, development and their application and effects in the everyday life. Now let's talk about this particular app. Now there is a landmarks tab which will lead towards the inclusive tribal empowerment and preservation of India's rich linguistic diversity. Now your homework is that you have to tell me which article of Indian Constitution relates with linguistic diversity. So you have to tell me about which of the articles of Indian Constitution actually relate with language and linguistic diversity. Now this is developed by the Ministry of Tribal Affairs under Government of India and its beta version has been launched. This AI Vaani is basically India's first AI powered translator for the tribal languages and it was launched under the Janjatiya Gaurav Varsh as a strategic initiative because it is going to preserve our tribal languages. India is very rich in tribal languages. India is having more than 431 languages and the problem is that somehow English and other languages are now making them extinct. This particular app is going to help us in conserving and preserving those languages. Now it will help in improving the learning and language use in the tribal areas. Also it will help in bridging the understanding between the tribal and non-tribal communities because language, a medium of communication, is one of the mechanisms where exchange of ideas, where understanding about one's culture is it becomes easy. Now with these such kind of applications that we are having, it will become easy for us to actually understand the tribal culture, to understand the tribal practices and also to make them understand about the new modern things. So this particular app will be helpful in helping the learning and language outcomes of the tribal areas, in making a bridge of understanding between the tribal and the non-tribal regions. Now next thing is, if we talk about India's linguistic landscape, we have 461 tribal languages, more than 461. And there are distinct tribal mother tongues which amount to 71. Now there are certain which are vulnerable and critically endangered. That means they are on the verge of extinction. So almost 81 languages are in the vulnerable category and 42 are in critically endangered category. This is sourced from the Census of India 2011. Now many face the risk of extinction due to limited documentation and intergeneration transmission gap. This Adi Vaani app is going to address the challenges by leveraging the AI. AI means artificial intelligence. By systematic digitalization, उनको digitalize हम करेंगे languages को. So we are going to have a proper record. Secondly, their preservation and also their revitalization, because when such apps are going to come, then the tribal people are not forced to learn the other languages like Hindi, English or any other language. Also, those who are Hindi spoken, those who are English spoken can also communicate with them through this particular app. So it will help in revitalization of the tribal languages because it will lead to decrease dependence upon the common languages. So it is going to allow the tribal people to use their particular mother tongues in a better way for understanding, learning and improving their own future. Particularly what happens right now, a student has to learn Hindi, has to learn English or has to learn the particular regional language if he wants to go for further education. With these applications, the student can learn in their own tribal, own mother tongues as well. Now, something about this Adi Vaani, this is AI-based translation tool. We have already discussed. The objective is to protect, promote and revitalize the tribal languages and culture. Now, which are the organizations that are involved? You can see on the screen. It's IIT. It is led by the IIT along with institutions like BITS Pilani, IIIT Hyderabad and IIIT Nava Raipur. And there is one organization known as Tribal Research Institution, which is based in Jharkhand, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Meghalaya, which have assisted in formation of this AI tool. Now next is, what is the aim? The aim is to enable real-time translation between Hindi, English and the tribal languages. It will provide interactive language learning for students and early learners, digitally preserve the folklore, oral traditions and cultural heritage, and will support digital literacy, healthcare communication and civic inclusion in the tribal communities. For example, now most of the government schemes come either in Hindi, English or the 6 scheduled languages that are given in the constitution. But what about people who are far flung, who are in the remote areas? How they will know about these schemes? How they will know about the particular provisions of these schemes? Basically, they depend upon others to know about these schemes, and more or less these schemes are not effective because the people are not aware about the particular policies, schemes that the government or the initiative that the government is taking. This app is going to help in transmitting that knowledge to the tribal people by in a very simple manner and in their own mother tongue. So this particular app will be a strategic initiative taken for the empowerment of the tribal communities. Now let's talk about the scope of languages, which are the languages that are being covered. Now currently there are basically 4 languages that are being covered: Santhali, Bhili, Mundari and Gondi. After that, other languages will also be covered in this particular application. Now, what is this functional kit? What this particular app is going to involve? First of all, text to text. You can text in your own in the tribal language, and that will be converted or translated into the Hindi or English. Then text to speech, speech to text, speech to speech translation. All these things will be done. Text to speech means whatever you are texting, that will come out in vocal language. Whatever you are speaking, that will be converted into text. Then speech to speech, whatever you are speaking, that will be translated in real time in the particular language in which you are opting for. Then there is optical character recognition also for digitalizing the manuscripts and primer. So it will help in preserving the culture of the tribal communities. Bilingual dictionaries and curated repositories are also present. Then as speech to text feature is available here, so the subtitles for particular speeches like that of Prime Minister or health advisories or information about government schemes can be translated in real time through subtitles. So these are going to be the benefits. Now in a longer perspective, such kind of applications that we are developing, how it actually empowers us. First of all, it will help in digitalizing and safeguarding the tribal knowledge that we are having, the cultural expressions that we are having, the rich cultural tribal knowledge that we have. Second, it will empower the tribal communities, as we have already seen, in the form of education, healthcare access, public service delivery and native languages. Then it will promote inclusive governance also. Why? Because it is providing people with the knowledge about the various government schemes. Now they are empowered to question the government that they are not getting particular benefits, or they are aware about what benefits they are going to get. So it is also going to increase accountability in the governance system and will help in inclusive governance. So it will ensure last mile reach of the government schemes. Lastly, and most important point, which you can use anywhere else wherever India is developing new technologies, that it will position India as a global leader in AI driven preservation of endangered language, because the rich cultural heritage that we are having and the wider application that this AI based tool can have, because we are having 461 tribal languages. See, just imagine that when this particular application is being applied to this 461 tribal languages, the kind of experience that we are going to have. So that's why it will position India as a global leader in the AI driven preservation of endangered languages, even in the AI use of AI in the form of languages. So it will position India as a global leader. Now, after this discussion, you have to answer this question and put your answers in the comment box. I want your answers there. Now let's move to the next topic. The second topic, Magsaysay Award. Now what is the backdrop here? The backdrop is that NGO, popularly known as Educate Girl, wins the Raman Magsaysay Award for 2025. This is the first Indian organization which have got this award, and the relevance is from GS Prelims. Basically, a prelims based question can be asked from you that this year which of the following has got the Raman Magsaysay Award. Now let's see about the news, and then we are going to into about this particular award, why it is given. First of all, about the news, the NGO which is known as Foundation to Educate Girls Globally, which is dedicated to mobilize community and government resources for girls education basically in rural areas and educationally disadvantaged areas of the country, has been awarded this 2025 Raman Magsaysay Award. Now, this foundation is popularly known as Educate Girls. We have already seen that. It is the first Indian organization to receive this prestigious award. This prestigious award, Raman Magsaysay Award, is also known as Asia's Nobel Prize. So, Asia's equivalent of Nobel Prize or Asia's Nobel Prize, it is known as. This particular foundation, known as Educate Girls, was started in Rajasthan in 2007 by Safina Hussain, and due to her consistent efforts for past 17-18 years, this award has now been given to this particular organization. Now, in the official press release, Raman Magsaysay Award has states that the Educate Girls identified the neediest communities in terms of girls education, brought unschooled girls out of school girls into classrooms, and worked to keep them there until they were able to acquire credentials for higher education and gainful employment. So basically, this NGO Foundation to Educate Girls Globally has changed lives of many girls in the country, and in response to that, it has been given this award. Now, who are the other awardees under this Magsaysay? This is the 67th edition of the award, and Sahina Ali from Maldives for environmental work, and Flavino Antonio L. Vinuva from Philippines has also been awarded this award this year. Now, awards will be given on November 7 in Manila at the Metropolitan Theatre. Next is the Raman Magsaysay Award. It is popularly known as Asia's Nobel Prize. It was first constituted in 1957 to honor the greatness of spirit in service to the people of Asia. So basically, it is catering to the works that are done in Asia, transcending race, gender, and religion. From 1958 to 2008, there were 6 categories in which this award was being given: government service, public service, community leadership, journalism, literature and creative communication arts, then peace and international understanding, and emergent leadership. Since 2000, this emergent leadership was introduced, and since 2009, this award is no longer bound for fixed categories except for emergent leadership. Now, there is no particular foundation. The award can be given for any kind of work that is done for the benefit of the humankind. Now, announcement of the award, it is announced on 31st August every year, which is the birth anniversary of President Raman Magsaysay, who was the 7th President of Philippines and whose ideals has actually inspired this award. The presentation ceremony annually held in November in Manila, Philippines, where awardees receive this prestigious medallion and certificate. Now, if we talk about who are the previous Indians who have got this award. So, for the first time in 1963, this award was given to Dara N. Kurudi, T.K. Patel and Varghese Kurin. Then after that, M.S. Swaminathan, Jayaprakash Narayanan, M.S. Subbulakshmi, B.G. Varghese have also been recipient of this award. Lately, Ravish Kumar and Sanjeev Chaturvedi were the recent awardees under this Raman Magsaysay Award. So, this is the list of all the people who have got this award. Even Baba Amte was also one of the recipient of this particular award. Ravi Shankar, P. Sainath, they were all recipient of this prestigious award. Now, it's your turn to answer the question. Attempt this MCQ and post your answers in the comment box, and let's move to the third topic. Now, the third topic is the creation of states. In the creation of state, the backdrop is that the Supreme Court has recently sought a detailed response from the centre on the issue of restoration of statehood for Jammu and Kashmir. Now, this article, what we are going to explore here, we are going to explore how a state is formed in our country. What are the constitutional provisions for that? Who has the power to form a state? Now, this topic becomes relevant from paper 2, GS paper 2, that is Indian polity. So, this topic is under Indian Constitution, historical underpinnings, evolution, features, amendments, significant provisions, and basic structure. So, let's see the news. The news is that the case was Zahoor Ahmed Bhatt versus duty of Jammu and Kashmir. And the petitioner said that the delay in providing statehood to the Jammu and Kashmir is actually having 2 concerns. The first concern is it is affecting citizens' rights. Second is that it is undermining federalism, which is the part of basic structure of our constitution. However, Supreme Court has said that there are certain areas in which it cannot go because it does not have the requisite expertise in those areas. That's why Supreme Court, by adhering to the principle of separation of power, has said that it does not possess all the expertise and there are some decisions to be made by the government only. So that's why Supreme Court, although has asked the centre's response regarding the issue of restoration of statehood for Jammu and Kashmir, however, the Supreme Court refused to interfere in that matter. It has left the matter to the centre's part only. That center should be with relevant facts and with the relevant ground realities should be taking up that decision. Now, how the states are formed? There are basically three mechanisms. The first mechanism is admission, the second is establishment, and third one is formation or reorganization. What is admission? Admission is simply that any particular state which is self-governing is joining the country. For example, Jammu and Kashmir joined in 1947 through instrument of accession by Maharaja Hari Singh with the Indian government, and Jammu and Kashmir became part of India. Second is establishment. A new state is created through acquisition of the territory under the international law. The example given in the article is Goa and Sikkim. And third one is formation or reorganization. Article 3 provides for that. It says that the parliament has the power to make or reorganize any state. It can form a new state by separation of union territories, or it can alter the boundaries, names and areas of the state. In 1956, when the Reorganization Act came, we were having 14 states. Now, the states number increased to 29 until 2019 Reorganization Act was enacted in the context of Jammu and Kashmir. Now, next is if you go for the constitution part. Part 1 provides for the union and its territories. Basically, part 1 of the constitution defines what is India. Part 2 is going to decide who are the citizens. So, we are talking about here about the part 1, that is the India and its territories. So, it is having basically 4 articles. The first article is name and territory of the union. Second is admission or establishment of a new state. Third one is formation of new state or alteration of areas, boundaries or names of the existing state. And fourth one is if article 2 and 3 are being used, then what provisions, how they are going to affect our constitution. For example, first schedule as well as the fourth schedule are going to be amended, and the supplemental, incidental and consequential matters will also be changed accordingly. So let's see these articles one by one. First of all, article 1. The article 1 is about name and territory of the union. So the constitution specifically defines India, that is Bharat, shall be union of the states. So it is talking about 3 things, that is name of India, name of the country, that is India, and Bharat. So these 2 names can be used. Secondly, India is a union of state, not federation of state. So India is a union of state. They are joined and they cannot be broken. Second, the state and territories there shall be specified in the first schedule. So the first schedule talks about the name of the states and union territories that India is comprised of. Third is the territory of India shall comprise of, first of all, the territories of the state. So whichever states are there, they are part of India. The union territories specified in the first schedule and such other territories that may be acquired. So it also leaves a scope for further acquisition. If any other country any other part of the world wants to join India, then our constitution provides for that provision also. Now, second is article 2. Article 2 is about admission or establishment of a new state. So it says the parliament by law admit into union or establish a new state on such terms and conditions as it thinks fit. So first of all, who is having the power to administer a new state? That is parliament. So parliament only has the power to administer any new state, and the conditions are also not defined. So whatever conditions are fit in accordance with the parliament can, according to those conditions, administer any new state in its territory. Then second is article 3. This is important. Formation of new states, alteration of areas, boundaries or name of the existing state. So again, parliament has the power to form a new state by separation of territory from any state. For example, Andhra Pradesh was initially one state, and after that Telangana was formed. From Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand was formed. From Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh were formed. From Bihar initially, Bihar and Jharkhand were formed. So basically by separation of the territory, a new state can be formed. Even in the case of Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir, two different administrative units were formed. By uniting two or more states or parts of the state, that can also be done. By uniting any territory or any part of the state, that can also be done. Next is formation of new states, alteration of the areas, boundaries and name of the existing states. So in that case, the parliament by law can make a new state by separation, by uniting, and it can also increase or decrease area of a state. It can diminish the area of any state. It can alter the boundaries of any state, or it can alter the name of any state. So the parliament has the power for forming a new state. It can increase or decrease the area of any state. It can alter the boundaries of a state, and it can also alter the name of any state. So that is up to the parliament. However, parliament cannot do by itself. There are certain conditions that are imposed over it. First of all, any such bill which wants to create a new state, which wants to alter the name of the state, which wants to alter the name of the state, that can only be brought on the recommendation of the president. Secondly, the president, when the bill is being introduced, it has to be referred to the state legislature. Irrespective of whatever state legislature says, the advice is not binding. However, the president is bound to send the bill to the state legislature. Whatever may be the decision of the state, that does not bound the president. But he has to once inform the state legislature that there is going to be a name change. So this is about Article 3. Now last is the Article 4. Article 4 is basically about the laws made under Article 2 and Article 3 to provide for amendment of the first and the fourth schedule are supplemental, incidental and consequential. So one thing that you should be knowing is that whenever there is any amendment in amendment by Article 2 or by Article 3, by invoking Article 2 or by invoking Article 3, the first schedule and fourth schedule are going to be altered. So that means first and fourth schedule are having provisions with respect to the states. Secondly, any such law which is formed will not be deemed, shall be deemed to an amendment, shall not be. इस पे आप बता देना, एक वो बता देना कि चेंज हुआ है, ठीक है. Now second is that no such law which is formed under Article 2 or 3 shall be deemed to be an amendment to the Constitution under Article 368. So these, by the law that is made by using the provision of Article 2 and 3 are not constitutional amendments under Article 368. So this thing also should be clear to you, because question will be asked upon these particular provisions only. Now, next is about the Jammu and Kashmir. Jammu and Kashmir, on December 11, 2023, Supreme Court upheld the abrogation of Article 370 and Article 35A, but also directed the central government for restoration of statehood to Jammu and Kashmir. Secondly, holding legislative assembly election. Out of that, the second part has already been done. The elections were held in October 2024. The total number of members or the assembly strength was 90 members. Second part, that is restoration of the statehood of Jammu and Kashmir, is still pending, because according to the government, the conditions for restoration of statehood are not very much appraised till now. The Pahalgam attack have actually sent them on backtrack. Now the demand for statehood for Jammu and Kashmir, there are some critical arguments also. For example, statehood would empower the elected government. Secondly, it will reduce the power of the lieutenant governor. It will also, the delaying the restoration will contradict the constitutional design and erodes the federal principle. So again, the same arguments as the petitioners have given, these arguments are related with that only. Now based upon the discussion, you have to attempt this MCQ and post your answers in the comment box, and let's go to the fourth topic. The fourth topic is about the good monsoon that we had. Why now we are seeing the fertilizer shortage? We are seeing a fertilizer shortage because that is the backdrop here, that good rains drive high fertilizer demand but supply is falling short. This topic becomes relevant from GS paper 3 in the economy, that is Indian agriculture, and also you can relate it with the fertilizer subsidy. Now next thing, what is the news? The news is that a good monsoon has meant farmers planting more kharif crop, pushing the fertilizer demand. This supply shortfall due to lack of domestic production and imports has resulted in long queues at the outlet. If we see this year's monsoon, we find that June and August itself had a 6.1% more rainfall than the normal average. In May, which is a pre-monsoon time period, 106% above normal rainfall was observed. Out of 36, 33 meteorological subdivisions received normal rainfall. Only a few areas like Bihar, Assam, Meghalaya and Arunachal Pradesh have deficit rainfalls, and most of the India have received average or above average rainfall. This has actually driven the planting of more kharif crops. The kharif crops in the form of rice and maize. The area under rice has increased to 420.4 lakh hectares, which is 7.6% up from last year. Then maize, it has increased by 11.7%. And both these crops are actually nitrogen consuming crops. That means they need more fertilizers. As the soil moisture is more, that's why these crops are being preferred, and that's why the fertilizer demand has also increased. So that is the basic reason that we have. Now let's see something about this demand surge. The basic reason we have discussed: there has been a good monsoon, there is adequate moisture and water availability is also there. That's why there is higher planting, and that's why the increase in the fertilizers for nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium and sulfur. Now if we see for urea, there has been an increase of 14.2%. For DAP, surprisingly there is decline of 12.8%. Then when we have NPKs, increase of 27.2%, SSP 28.7%, MOP 42.8%. If you see SSP single sulfate phosphate, MOP is muriate of potash. So basically for MOP caters to potash, SSP caters to phosphate or phosphorus. Now the DAP sales have fallen by 12.8% because it is being now substituted by alternatives containing phosphate like SSP and 2020 is to 0.013. Next thing is what we can learn from here. First of all, there has been a demand underestimation. We were happy about that good monsoon is going to be there, but we were not prepared to handle the demand that is going to come up. So the higher sowing of rice and maize, which are nitrogen intensive crops, have led to the surge in demand. And there has been low sowing of soya bean and pulses. So whatever area that came under the cultivation of rice and maize has come out from soya bean and pulses. And soya bean and pulses are basically less nitrogen intensive. They don't need nitrogen much. Even they are leguminous plants. Second is now upcoming Rabi season, the season that is the winter cropping season. Now as we seen, monsoon has been good. That means the reservoirs and aquifers, they have now recharged. The reservoirs have reached 83.5% of the storage capacity. That means in the winter also we are going to have good soil moisture, we are going to have good water availability, and it is again going to lead to increase in the demand of the fertilizer. So we need to prepare for that also. We need to advancedly plan with respect to the adequate supply of the fertilizer. Now what is the way forward? The way forward is, first of all, encourage substitution. Replace urea bags with ammonium sulfate. Second, restrict DAP use mainly to rice and wheat. Third, promote complexes. Complexes means complex fertilizers. Then international output. Imports may increase. Why? Because China is one of the major suppliers of fertilizers to India, and Indian-China relations, as we have seen yesterday itself and today itself, the SCO summit has happened and both India and China have come close. So it may help India in getting more fertilizers from China. If we see the trend also, the urea from China, there is a major import. In terms of DAP also, China is the major exporter to India. So China leads India in terms of fertilizer supply. And if we talk about India, India is the second largest consumer of fertilizer and third largest producer of fertilizer. The total consumption is around 600 metric tons, which was in 23-24. Domestic production is only 503 lakh million tons, metric tons. We import around 177 lakh metric tons. Urea 87% domestic, NPA is 90% domestic, that is good for India. However, DAP, that is also an important fertilizer, it is only 40% domestic, and MOP is, or that is potash, is fully imported. So we are lacking in these two fertilizers, DAP and MOP, which are very important. The long-term fertilizer supply agreement with Saudi Arabia, Nepal, Bhutan and Sri Lanka have actually ensured a consistent flow, consistent supply of fertilizers. But still, the China remains the major exporter of fertilizers to India. The next is type of fertilizers. So first one is sole fertilizers, which are having only one kind of nutrient. For example, urea is there, which is nitrogenous. Phosphatic is there, which is single super phosphate or triple super phosphate. So phosphate is by these two fertilizers. Then for potash, we have muriate of potassium, potassium sulfate. So these fertilizers are basically having only one major nutrient. Second is the mixed or complex fertilizers. They are having two or more primary nutrients. For example, DAP, diammonium phosphate. Then nitrophosphate, which is having nitrogen and phosphate. NPK is there. Ammonium potassium sulfate is there, and calcium ammonium nitrate is there. So all these are having more than one nutrient. Last one are the micronutrient fertilizers, which relate with the micronutrients like zinc, cobalt. So chelated compounds of zinc EDTA and iron EDTA, then inorganic salts like zinc sulfate, copper sulfate, ferrous sulfate and manganese sulfate. These are required in lesser amount or smaller amounts. Macronutrients, the nutrients for the plants are in two forms. One is macro, one is micronutrients. These two relate with the macronutrients and this one relates with the micronutrients. Now next is the schemes and policies which India takes with respect to fertilizer. First of all, India's fertilizer bill is very high, 1.98 lakh crores subsidy that we provide to fertilizer. Last year we have provided that amount, almost 2 lakh crores. Now, if you talk about India's fertilizer policies and schemes, first one is nutrient-based subsidy scheme. It was introduced in 2010 for the phosphatic and potassium fertilizer. It covers fertilizers like diammonium phosphate and NPKs grades. Key NPK means nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium and sulfur. Now, key features were there was a fixed subsidy based on the nutrient content of the fertilizer. So it was not the quantity, it was the quality of the fertilizer based upon which the subsidy was being provided. Secondly, subsidy rates were revised annually and biannually. P and K fertilizers were decontrolled, and maximum retail prices can be set up by the factories itself, but at the reasonable level. Government monitors price while companies produce import as per the demand. Next is one nation, one fertilizer. Now we are having multiple brands, that's why farmers were also getting consumed. So government brought in the one nation, one fertilizer. That means branding will be only single type. So there is Bharat Urea, Bharat DAP and Bharat NPK. So these are the brands that you will see. No other branding is allowed. It will reduce the farmer confusion, ensure quality and transparency. Next is Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra. It was launched on 15th November 2023. And it promoted the drone use in agriculture for spraying nano and water soluble fertilizer. It will reduce the amount of fertilizer that is required. Secondly, it will inculcate technology in the farm sector. Related to this is Namo Drone Didi program, which was announced under this particular scheme only. It will provide 15,000 drones to the women from self-help groups. Now focus will be on spraying nano fertilizers and pesticides, enhancing efficiency, yield and lowering cost. So basically the objective was to, first of all, financial empowerment of the women. Secondly, increasing the role of women in the farm sector. And as we know that there is feminization of agriculture, so providing them these drones are going to empower them. They are going to make them more tech savvy. Then it is linked with the PM Kisan Samriddhi Kendra for the delivery part. Next, promoting sustainable fertilizer use. Then for the sustainable, because India have seen that fertilizers are used indiscriminately without any regard that it is affecting the soil or it is required or not. To improve the sustainable fertilizer use so that it is not having negative impact on the health as well as on the soil and environment, we are having schemes like nano fertilizers. Nano fertilizers are plant nutrients that are packed with very small particles called nanomaterials. These nano fertilizers have the ability for a controlled release of nutrients and thus have a very high efficiency. The nutrients are released in a slow manner. The plant growth thus becomes very good. Second is neem coated urea. The principle is same. The neem coated urea is regular urea fertilizer coated with neem oil, and the principle is again same, that the nitrogen release is slow. It reduces the wastage, keeps the soil health in a better manner, and helps in a better plant growth. So basically both these nano fertilizers and neem coated urea both actually result in slow or controlled release of the nutrients. Control means that you can control the release. Slow means that there will be consistent release of nitrogen, but that will be very, very slow, so that plant can actually absorb as much as it wants. Next is PM Pranam scheme. Pradhan Mantri Program for Restoration, Awareness, Nourishment and Amelioration of the Mother Earth. Its objective is to cut the fertilizer use. So who is going to be incentivized? The states are going to be incentivized under this scheme to cut the chemical fertilizer use and promote organic manure, biofertilizers and compost. With that, biofertilizer and organic nutrient promotion is also being done. There are certain strains like Rhizobium, Azotobacter and PSB which have been identified and can be used in the farms. These basically help in nitrogen fixing in the soil, and through nitrogen fixing, the atmospheric nitrogen is converted into nitrates which can be absorbed by the plants. Then soil health cards are also being prepared. There are 12 parameter analysis every 2 years so that the farmer knows which nutrient is lacking in their soil and indiscriminate use of fertilizers can be avoided. So it is basically analysis of the soil कि soil में कमी किस चीज़ की है और कौन सा nutrient चाहिए. ऐसा ना हो कि the crop is not growing very well in the soil and the farmer start using indiscriminately nitrogen or potassium fertilizers in a desperation. So to avoid that kind of desperation and to give the proper analysis of what the problem soil is having, these soil health cards are very, very effective. Now next is technological and digital interventions are also there, because we have seen that fertilizers are not properly distributed. There is also smuggling of fertilizers to countries like Bangladesh and other neighboring countries. So to avoid that, we are having integrated fertilizer management system and mobile fertilizer management system. This IFMS will track the fertilizer supply from producer to retailer, enable real-time monitoring and manage the state stock-wise stock. So there is no lack in the supply of the fertilizers. Then mobile fertilizer management system is a digital platform for dealer registration, stock trading, MIS management information system, DBT reports and helping farmers locate the dealers. Now next is the MCQ, time for MCQ. You have to attempt this one and you have to post your answers in the comment box. We are waiting for you. And next we move to the decoded part of the editorial. In the editorial, we are having an interesting topic which is written by the Union Minister of Labour and Empowerment, Mr. Mansukh Malviya. Now, the backdrop is that there is a quite revolution, that is social security net for 94 crore Indians. Now, in a recent study which has been recognized by ILO also, India is running the biggest social security program for its countries, and it is covering 94 crore Indians. It is relevant from GS paper 2 issues related to development, management and social sector services, sector or services related to health, education and human resource. Let's see what's there in the article. The first one is that about the India's economy. So India's economy was at the 10th level in 2014. Now it has risen to 4th, being the 4th largest within a span of 10 years. So Indian economic progression has been very, very good. So from the economic perspective, India is growing. Second, job creation. If we compare last 2 decades, in the first decade spanning from 2004 to 14, there were 2.9 lakh crores that were jobs that were generated. From 2014 to 24, 17 crore jobs were generated. So in terms of job creation also, we are now having significant improvement. Then formalization of economy has also increased. That has been basically due to the efforts of the government for digitalization and bringing in the reforms. Next is that if we talk about India, India is going through a phase known as demographic dividend. Why? Because 60% of India's population is under 35. That means we are having youth or Yuva Shakti as the backbone for demographic dividend. Now, for this youth, we need an employment which is not only remunerative but have dignity, have equality, and national strength. It should not be that the working conditions are not good for them. They are not having social security. So we need to cater to these aspirations also of the youth. The focus need on employability, financial literacy, formalization, and social security. So on these four elements we need to focus upon. Now, coming to the topic, if we talk about why it is in news, the social security expansion that India has seen. India's coverage of for social security has risen from 19% to 64.3% in 2025. So that means there is a rise of more than 40% in India's social protection. 94.3 crore people are now covered under at least one social security scheme. It has been recognized globally also. India is ranked at the second position after China in terms of social protection coverage. It is acknowledged by ILO also, and ILO has said that it is one of the most significant global expansions in terms of social security all over the world. So the tremendous work that has been done in the last 10 years, it has been recognized by ILO also. Now, next is what is social security? The social security is defined by ILO or Indian International Labour Organization as a protection that a society provides to individuals and families to ensure access to healthcare and to guaranteed income security. Next is social security is recognized as a basic human right, and India's system includes social insurance, social assistance, and in-kind benefits. So India provides social security in three terms. The first one is social insurance. For example, the contribution is by the employer as well as the employee. For example, pension is there or any such kind of things are there. Then is social assistance, that is non-contributory welfare payments. What is provided by the government itself, that comes under social assistance. For example, health benefits can be there. Ayushman Bharat is there. So you don't have to contribute anything. You are getting those payments by the government itself. Third one is in kind. For example, food is there, housing is there, health is there. The Food Security Act that we have, health is there, the housing part is there, PM Awas Yojana is there. So all these are providing in kind benefits to the people. Now, how we have been able to achieve such a feat? There have been certain things through which we have achieved this feat of covering 64 or 2 by 3rd population of ours under the social security net. The first one is the policy and legal reforms. We have encoded the old 29 labor laws that we are having into 4 codes that are known as 4 labor codes. These 4 labor codes are namely Wage Code, Social Security Code, Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code, and Industrial Relations Code. Now, along with that, the Social Security Code, which is one of the important ones, it has led to the expansion of ESIC and EPFO, that is pension, to unorganized gig self-employed workers which were not previously covered. Second, Social Security Fund for the informal sector has been created. Removal of the minimum service for gratuity has now been created. So to take your gratuity, you don't need any minimum service. Then Aadhaar linked universal accounts have been created and they are for portability. So these are the important provisions of the Social Security Code of 2020. Next thing is building digital and financial foundation. For example, through Jan Dhan Yojana, Aadhaar, DBT, digital connectivity. Jan Dhan Yojana has led to financial inclusion. 55.64 crore accounts have now been opened. More or less every Indian is now having a bank account. So it is providing financial inclusion. It is providing him to save his money, to get a proper financial assistance in terms of need, in times of need, for example, in the form of loan or overdraft. Then Aadhaar, 142 plus crore Aadhaar cards have been issued. giving a unique digital identity to every Indian. Third one is DBT. Through DBT, we have been able to reduce leakages, streamline the payments. We have saved 3.48 lakh crores which were actually going out through leakages or through corruption. Now the funds are being properly directed to the people who are the actual beneficiaries. We have been able to remove the ghost beneficiaries through the use of these three things. Then digital connectivity, it has led to digital inclusion. Now everything we see is on digital part. So if you're not having digital connectivity, if you're not digitally included, then you're losing out in today's terms. The 5G services, the cost have been considerably reduced. There is 99.6% coverage of the districts of 99.6% districts have been covered under 5G services. So internet connectivity is almost available in whole of the country. Next thing is, what are the other schemes that are being run by the government? First one is insurance and pension. So schemes like Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Yojana. This Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana is for accidental insurance. Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Yojana is for any death that happens. Then Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Mandhan Yojana, Employee Provident Fund Organization, Employee State Insurance Corporation is there. Then empowering women and household. For the women, we are having Lakpati Didi initiative, PM Ujjwala Yojana, in which LPG connections were provided to the women. Then Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban and Gramin, which is providing homes to the people, and they are basically registered on the woman head's name. The next is unorganized sector and informal workers. For them, E-Shram Portal, Atal Pension Yojana and PM Vishwakarma Yojana have been launched. Next is health and food security. Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, which was released during the time of COVID. Then ADIP scheme, that is assistance to persons with disabilities for purchasing or fitting aids applications, has also been launched. So these are the schemes that are providing assistance with respect to health and food security. Then we have inclusion and special schemes like SMILE, support for marginalized individuals for livelihood and enterprise. It includes a sub-scheme known as Comprehensive Rehabilitation of Welfare of Transgender Persons. It aims at social security, livelihood and digital dignity of the transgender person. So basically it is catering to the welfare of the transgenders. Another scheme is there which is catering to transgender persons. That is Garima Grah, Shelter Home for Transgender Person. This is in pilot phase currently. So these schemes are being run by the government. Now one more scheme that has been launched is PM Viksit Bharat Rozgar Yojana. The duration is for 2 years till 2027 and the total outlay is 99,446 crores. The jobs that will be created will be 3.5 crore plus. So the target is that we have to create 3.5 crore more jobs. The focus will be on first time employees and manufacturing sector. The eligibility criteria will be salaried employees earning up to 1 lakh per month. For those persons, the scheme will be applicable. Now, if we see what is the global significance of having such a wider social security net. First of all, India has become the first country to update 2025 social protection data under ILO-SET. Secondly, it enhances the India's ability to sign social security agreements with the developed nation. More or less, developed nations said that your citizens are not having social security. That's why there were issues with respect to visa or working in other countries. Now, by having a wider social security net, India can sign social security agreements with the developed countries. Second, it also supports the portability of benefits for the Indian workers abroad and improving their trade and labor mobility. So this particular enhancement of the social security, first of all, provides a social cover, a security net to the lives of the people. Secondly, it also helps in labor movement across the country and to the international country, to the other countries as well. Now, to conclude, India has leaped from 19% to 64.3% in terms of social security coverage in the last 10 years. 94 crore plus individuals are now under the welfare program being run by the country and becomes the world's largest welfare program that is being run by the country. Digital tools like Aadhaar, DBT, UAN and right-based policies have created a transparent, inclusive, and scalable social protection ecosystem. So the all credit goes to these things. Then future phases may push coverage up to 100 crores, and India can become a global leader in the social security governance. With this, you are in a position to attempt this mains question. The question is India's social security expansion is a blend of pro-poor policies, legal reforms, and digital innovation. You need to substantiate with examples. So you need to explain this, and you have to give the examples and the data that we have discussed. With this, we conclude for the day. Thank you very much, and have a very nice day. Thank you.